This is Nigel McGuinness, one of the greatest upcoming stars in the wrestling business, and you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com.
All right, we are back, and we're joined by Nigel McGuinness. Welcome to In Your Head.
What's up, In Your Head?
Not much. How you doing, my man?
I'm off my head. No, I'm all right. I just got back from the pool. Been rehabbing my shoulder.
What's that?
Got a big weekend coming up. Yeah.
You were telling us you dislocated your shoulder. How did you do that?
Separated, not dislocated.
Oh, sorry, man.
It's only like nothing too
You gotta make it sound even worse. That way, like people are like, oh my god.
Tore my shoulder out of joint. Had to like sew it back together. That's how tough I am. No, I was wrestling this weekend in Texas, and I had the weekend off before, so I was kind of catching up, you know. And I did the Tower of London finish, and I kind of jammed your shoulder and stuff. So I'll be all right now.
All right. Hope you're doing all right. How do the Texas fans treat you? Do they do you find any place like
great down there? No, it was great down there. Well, I mean, half the fans hated me, and half the fans loved me, which is really, you know, fantastic, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Right.
The guy I was wrestling, he's one of the locals down there, so some of his mates from the bar came down, and a lot of the kids that go every week, or every month rather, down there, they know him as well, so they were screaming for him, and then we had the Ring of Honor faithful that was screaming for me. So yeah, it was great. Yeah, back and forth. I really enjoyed it. It was a bar show, and I was a bit worried because a lot of times bar shows are kind of dodgy. You know what I mean? You have a lot of people there who just come to have a beer and didn't even know wrestling was going to be on. You know what I mean? They kind of look at it like what on earth is this? But no, they all came to see the wrestling. It was really good. It was Anarchy Championship Wrestling down in San Antonio, Texas. Yeah, I think I'm sure you can find it on the internet or something like that. But yeah, really enjoyed it. A great show down there. Great show.
Cool. And you got a Ring of Honor show this weekend?
Yeah, we got a double shot. We're in New York, I believe, on Friday, and then Saturday we're down in Philadelphia, PA.
Cool.
So,
let everybody know to check out your website at nigelmcguinness.com.
That's the one. Yeah, buy my T-shirt.
A fine T-shirt at that.
It is a fine T-shirt, both of them, actually. Yeah.
You guys got a question from the board?
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, I just have a question. How did you end up in America training with Les Thatcher?
Long story short, I went to university for chemistry, and the second year I was playing American University. In all fairness, I always wanted to be a wrestler, and part of me taking that course was so that I'd have a year over here. And when I was here, I got a little pamphlet, How to Become a Professional Wrestler, that was in the back of PWI that I think Percy Pringle had a hand in doing, and in the back of it had a list of all these schools in the States. I wrote off to all of them, and Les was one of the few people who got back to me. My mate took me down there, and I had a look around. I was sold on the place immediately, and then I just had to wait until I graduated in a year and a half's time, saved up all the money I could, jumped on a flight, and flew back over here for, I think it was a year. It took me a year of training before I had my first match.
Oh, we got a caller here. Who is this?
It's Logamark.
Nope, you're on air with Nigel McGuinness. You got a question?
Yeah. Hi, Nigel, man.
How you doing, mate? You alright?
Oh, I'm fine, thanks. I'm a huge fan of yours, man. It's a real honour to be able to speak to you, man.
Yeah, good deal.
Oh, I just got to know, man, what's with the iron? Why do you carry the iron about, man?
I've actually stopped carrying it. It fell to pieces when I was in Italy. I was wrestling at Andreas Diamond over there for ICW, and I hit him in the head with it at the end of the match, and it just exploded. So it's collecting dust in my apartment over here in the States. But originally, I mean, the question why I originally carried it was just one of these deals. I was training, and my girlfriend at the time, she was quite upper class over here, and her mother had never really even seen professional wrestling before, so she was doing the ironing, and I was watching on TV, and I think it was Axel Jim Duggan or someone ran in with a gimmick, you know, and she was like, why on earth, you know, I can't do a Boston accent, but in a Boston accent, she said, why on earth do they, you know, bring things down to the ring? I said, oh, it's a gimmick, you know what I mean? It helps you get over, establish your character and stuff like that. And she says, well, why doesn't anyone, like, bring an iron to the ring? And I just thought, brilliant, genius, you know. So I did, and, you know, it forever contributed to my career.
You got anything else, Liger?
No, that's it pretty much, man. Just thanks a lot.
Alright, thanks for calling in.
Mate, you gonna be in Liverpool?
Me? I'll try and be down there, man, but I don't know.
Alright, well, I'll see you sometime.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, man. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Yep, bye-bye.
I get another caller here. Who is this?
Hey, it's Jason.
Hey, Jason, you got a question?
Yeah, actually, probably a pretty unusual question, but it's something I thought about when you said Nigel McGuinness was going to be on tonight. I have on tape something from ABC. They were doing a thing on wrestling, probably back in 2000, and they actually featured you. What was it like at that point in your career to know that you were going to be on national American television for the first time?
It was kind of weird, I'll be honest with you, because the timeline was kind of different because they taped it, I believe, in September when I had my very first professional match. And it's one of those things where you see the cameras and they tell you it's going to be on TV, but it's still kind of alien. You know what I mean? Until you actually see it, you really don't believe it. It doesn't register with you.
Mm-hmm.
And what actually happened was at the end of November, beginning of December, was when my visa ran out and I had to go back to the States, back to England, excuse me. And so it didn't actually air until I believe it was December. So I never actually got to see it when it aired. And the only thing I even heard about it was where Matt Stryker, one of my friends out here, emailed me and said that Dave Meltzer had written a little bit about it in the Observer, which I copped for huge. Yeah, so I never really got to, experience it, but I knew at the time it was going to be huge, It was never as big as I was hoping.
Anything else, Jason?
No, thanks very much.
Well, thanks for calling in, man.
Good night.
We actually have another caller here. Who is this?
LTNA fan from Portugal.
Alright, you got a question for Nigel?
I got two quick questions.
Can you hear him alright?
Yeah, I have to shout a little bit.
Speak up there, LTNA fan.
What about now?
Yeah, a little better. Go on.
Oh, okay. I heard that you were in the SummerSlam 92 in attendance in Wembley Stadium. How much of a influence on you did that show have for you to become a professional wrestler?
I got the first bit. I didn't get the second bit. Something about SummerSlam 92. I was there. How much of what? Did you hear it, guys?
How much of an influence did it have on you to become a professional wrestler and being live at that show?
Not. It was. I think it was a pivotal moment in the fact that I sat there, I watched it, and my buddy who come with me, I looked at him and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a wrestler. And he sort of laughed because, I was a 14-year-old kid who weighed about 120 pounds. But it wasn't any more pivotal in convincing me to do it. Only that it was just at that point I said, okay, I'm really going to do it. More what really made me pursue it, I think, was there was a documentary that Robbie Brookside, one of the British wrestlers who was over there, did on British TV. That really got me into it. And then I think when I was 18, actually, I went down with meningitis. I got really sick, went through a coma for about 3 days. And then when I came out of it, I guess I just had one of those life-changing moments, a moment of clarity, as alcoholics call it, where you realise that, we are all mortal and life's short, and if there is anything you really want to do with it, with your life, you really should pursue it. So that was really the biggest influence, I'd say.
I saw that documentary on British wrestling. I have it on my computer.
Cool. Get another question there, TNA fan?
Just one more question. Your finishing move is the lariat. So I would like to ask you, which wrestler from all the times, all the eras, do you think has the best lariat of all time?
Who has the best? Yeah. He wants in. He said your finisher is a lariat, and he want to know what wrestler had the best lariat of all time.
And I think Stan Hansen, would be probably most synonymous with it. But politically speaking, JBL throws a really good one as well. If you listen to that.
Yeah, actually, I think yours resembles Stan Hansen's a lot in your matches.
Really?
The way you throw it, yeah.
Right.
Thanks for calling in, LTNA fan.
Okay. Bye.
See you, mate.
Yep.
All right. Everybody here in the chat room, they want to know what do you think about Samoa Joe's departure from Ring of Honor?
Yeah, in all fairness, maybe it was one of those things that was going to happen eventually anyway, you know what I mean? They're going to give him a big push there in TNA. And I think they're trying now to diversify the brands to where they don't want one of their guys, you know, being synonymous with a different wrestling company. It's a huge loss to Ring of Honor. There's absolutely no way you can deny that. He's been, you know, so synonymous with Ring of Honor, and he made that belt what it is. And, you know, just in the few times that I've wrestled him, he's always taught me something. I've always learned something wrestling with him. It's going to be a huge loss. But that is the nature of the wrestling business. That people do always come and go, and arguably, in the long run, you know, that's probably going to be better for guys like me who hopefully can step up to fill those very big shoes that Joe left.
Definitely. You got a question, Intra?
I just wanted to know, what did you think of your match on TNA, on the pay-per-view? It was on the, did we lose him?
Hello?
Oh.
Hello? Yeah. I'm losing you guys.
Yeah, Intra wanted to know, what did you think about your short stint in TNA? Your match with Sharkboy.
Is he gone? Okay.
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, fellas.
You want to just go to break and we'll come back right back?
I can hear that now. Yeah,
Intra wanted to know. Yeah, Intra just wanted to know about your. What you thought about your match with Sharkboy for TNA?
No, you know, it was what it was. I mean, I started out in the business with Sharkboy. Actually, he'd been around for a few years at Leslie's place before I started. It was a real big help to me starting out. You know, smartening me up to certain aspects of the business and showing me around and taking me to shows, etc., etc., etc. You know, I owe a lot to him for getting me started in the business. So it was really good when I found out that I was going to be wrestling at TNA. Yeah, the only problem, of course, with that is it's a real short match for pay-per-view, and you know, it was difficult for me to really. I think really for me to do enough stuff for them to, you know, see everything I had to offer. You know what I mean? Just when you've got a really short match like that, sometimes it's difficult to do. You know, I think if I would maybe had a few more minutes, I think we could have, you know, certainly done a lot more. But yeah, I was happy with it. You know, I think a lot of times what people don't understand about wrestling is that matches have a certain place on the card. You know what I mean? And you go out there and you're told, okay, this is the match you're going to have, and that's the match you go out there and have. You know, sometimes that doesn't always, you know, collaborate. You know what I mean?
Did they have any talks like signing you for a long-term contract or anything? TNA?
Are you there?
Hello?
I'm losing you again.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know what's the problem with it. Just keeps coming in and out, I think. All right.
Did they have any problems with did they ever offer you like a full-time contract with TNA?
No. It was just a one-shot offer, and even originally I think I was supposed to wrestle Joe. They were going to bring me in because at the time they were doing lots of international challenges to get Joe over, you know. So they were going to bring me in as the guy from England, and then booking, you know, plans change, etc. So they just put me on as Sharkboy there. Yeah, they never really talked about it anymore, and I had a little word to Dutch Mantel afterwards. He said, you know, we like you, etc. But I think the thing then, much as now, is that there simply just wasn't enough space down there to hire anybody else, you know?
Yeah.
From what I understand to me. And then they mentioned the X Cup thing, you know, the TNA X Cup deal. They were going to use us for that as well, so that was about all they said, really.
Liger Mark, who called in earlier, had a question from the message board. He wants to know, who has the hardest head that you have ever headbutted?
I don't know, in all fairness. They all feel the same. You know, I mean, nothing was as hard as that ring post in Liverpool, but compared to that, nothing.
David32, he actually has a question about that match on Unified. He just wants to know, how did you keep standing after that?
Yeah, it's one of those things, I think, where you've got the adrenaline going, and the crowd helps a whole lot as well. I really didn't feel it at the time.
Yeah.
You know, in all fairness, I watch it back now, and you know, it makes me shudder.
Oh yeah.
I was really feeling it for like the next couple of weeks. Actually, I kept having like, what's that thing called? Post-traumatic concussion.
Post-traumatic syndrome. Something
Yeah,
like that.
some shit like that, where you know, every time I take a bump, I get a concussion, and then that match I had with Dragon a couple of weeks later in Minneapolis, that it was like an hour-long 2 out of 3 falls match, and I was really in no state to wrestle on that night. You know, my head was still, I had these 2 black eyes, my eyes completely swelled shut. You know what I mean? Because there was such a big hematoma inside my head. And then, so after that match, yeah, I had to take some time off. It really was bad.
Someone sent in an email here, Tyler. He wants to know who came up with the headstand and the corner move.
I know, who was it used to do that? Ultimo Dragon used to do that. Scorpio used to do that as well. When he was in Mexico, Too Cold Scorpio used to do the headstand. They do it slightly different now because they actually put their head on the top turnbuckle, where I just rest the back of my neck and my shoulders are on the top rope. For the life of me, I can't remember where I came up with that, other than I just remember thinking about 2 or 3 years ago, and you know, arm drags and wrist locks are really boring, you know. I've got to come up with some more interesting stuff, so I just played around with it for a while and just was goofing off trying to do a headstand in the corner, and you know, just went on from there.
Right. Yeah, forget the arm drags, you do headstands and bring out irons.
There you go.
You also want to know who's the first person to counter it.
Who was the first person to counter it? I think Misawa. Mitsuharu Misawa, strictly speaking. When I first used to do it, I mean, you know, my style always used to be very, very technical. I don't think I even hit people back in the day. You know what I mean? It was all wrestling this and chain wrestling and that. Never threw a punch, never threw a forearm. And what I used to do, I used to stand up there and someone would run in and I'd drop behind them and schoolboy them, and then I'd, you know, go back up there and do a little bit more. But I did that with Misawa, schoolboyed him, and I was, you know, showing off like, I outsmarted him and stuff like that, and then he gave me one of those god-awful forearms, and then he knocked me out. So I'd say that was counting it, yeah.
Well, speaking of all that, were you sad to see the Ring of Honor Pure title disappear?
Yeah, of course I was. Well, I mean, I was sad to see it disappear from around my waist. You know.
Right.
I thought I'd, you know, done a lot for the belt to try and establish it separately from the heavyweight, you know, the world title. And so yeah, to a certain extent. But I think, like anything in the wrestling business, everything has its own sort of lifetime, you know, its own sort of shelf life, and arguably maybe that was up, you know.
What did you think of the match you had with Danielson when you unified the titles?
I was really happy with it, apart from, you know, getting 8 stitches in my head and all that sort of stuff. No, I was really happy with it. You know, Dragon's one of those people that just, much like Joe or Christopher Daniels, every time you get in the ring, you get more of a sense of how talented they are. And you really can't understand that until you are actually in the ring with them. You know what I mean? You can watch them, but when you watch someone, you just see the stuff they do. You don't see how they control a match, and you know the sort of the ring leadership that they show in there. So I was really happy with it. But as much as anything else, I think I was glad that, you know, certainly in Ring of Honor there's a hierarchy. You know what I mean? You've got guys like Joe and Daniels and AJ and Dragon and Doug, who, you know, the forefathers who started off the company, and then you have a lot of other guys, you know, trying to vie for those spots. More than anything, I thought that match helped me to try and, you know, step up to that next level. So I was glad for that.
Were you honored to be to be the main event on like their first international show?
Yeah, it was, you know, it was a big deal. I was real proud to be in that spot. you know, and I was a little nervous, you know, I was a little concerned, but that's why I put everything I had into it, you know what I mean? I was thinking about that match for about 2 or 3 months ahead of time, trying to, you know, get everything sorted out, because I just wanted to have the best match that I absolutely possibly could, you know. I knew that, you know, when someone gives you the ball in the wrestling business, you've really got to run with it, and that's what I tried to do.
Mm-hmm.
With Joe on the way out, is there anybody on the ROH roster who you think could surprise some people by stepping up, who you don't really expect coming at this point?
I think Jimmy Rave, as much as, you know, I hate him at the moment, I think he's a guy who could certainly be one of those guys. I was saying to someone in the interview earlier today, though, it just needs a certain change in the mentality of the Ring of Honor fans, you know what I mean? I mean, when Ring of Honor started, the product, 5 years ago, was certainly different to the product today. I'm sure you'd agree. And hence, you know, it's constantly in a state of flux, and I think that the top guys are usually being the guys that the people have considered to be, like, you know, badasses, or guys with legitimate backgrounds, or whatever you want to call it. And I think that, you know, by his own admission, Jimmy Rave isn't a badass. But I think he is a very talented wrestler who can definitely get over the people to that level. You know, Davey Richards obviously is someone who can step up. Delirious is making great strides at the moment. Claudio's coming back into the fold as well. You know, there's another guy. The thing with the wrestling business, you know, I mean, no one knows, you know, and that's kind of the irony when you hear people talking about, oh, this guy's got potential, or this guy's got no potential, this guy can't draw a dime, or, you know, this guy's the future of the business. Nobody really knows. And, you know, you hear someone saying that they do it, and they're really full of shit. Because everybody who's ever drawn a dime in this business at one point in time was told, you know, you're the shits and you're never going to be anything. And by the same token, the guys that, you know, were sung from the rafters, a lot of those guys never turned into anything either. You know, it's difficult to say at this point in the game. Nigel McGuinness is a sure bet for the top, though. That's my one pick.
Right.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We heard that might be a Nigel McGuinness protein shake coming out.
Yeah, I've been working on it. I've been working on it with a girl I know, and so we'll see. I've been talking to George Foreman and a few other people. Yeah.
We're going to come up with a snazzy name for it.
Yeah, right.
In it to win it shake.
In it to win it shake. Yeah.
That's awful.
We actually had a caller earlier on who wanted to know, do you drink Guinness?
I do, actually. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the black stuff. Depending on where I am. I just came back from Ireland, actually. I had a weekend in Ireland a couple of weeks ago, and I had a couple of pints when I was over there. Obviously much better in Ireland than it is in the States. But yeah, that was good. When I was about 18 years old, I was skinny, obviously. And I wanted to gain weight. So someone told me if I drank 3 pints of Guinness and eat a steak every day, I'll gain weight. I did it for like 3 weeks over Christmas, and I lost 2 pounds.
Hell of a diet there.
Yeah.
Later on in the program, we got Colt Cabana coming up. What's some of your feelings towards him?
Oh, I love him. I love Cabana. You know what I mean? We've had our differences at various points, but I think I can safely say he's the funniest guy I know. In the ring and out of the ring. I could tell you some stories. I think when he comes on, you should ask him about a certain person's pillow in England. I think that's probably a good one.
All right, we're writing that one down.
Ask him about that.
Giving us the dirt here.
In all seriousness, you know, a lot of people in the wrestling business try and do comedy, you know. I mean, it's a go-to, certainly on the indies. Everybody has these comedy spots that they do, you know what I mean. And a lot of times they come across as work, or choreographed, or terrible, or hokey. But Cabana's someone who just has that natural sense of comic timing, you know what I mean. I think it's because he's Jewish. Jewish people are always funny for some reason, right? Like Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, I've always been, ever since I first started wrestling in IWA Mid-South down there, I've always been a big fan of his work, and, now he's getting out into the dating scene. I'm really excited for him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are you saying, intro?
Oh, the Oasis track. How'd you pick that as your intro?
There was somebody at OVW, that's right. In those a couple of months that I was down there, somebody said to me, "Oh, have you ever heard Fucking in the Bushes, Oasis?" I said, no, not really. She come over, it was really good. So I said, all right. So I found it on the internet, listened to it, and I agreed with them. I thought, oh, that's great, I'll do that. So, hey presto, I talked to Wayne at the sound guy at Ring of Honor, and it was all good. We got it going.
Has any promotion wanted to change your name or give you a stereotypical gimmick, kind of like a Mr. Bean kind of deal or anything?
No, not that I can think of. Hold on, there was something. What was it?
Oh, it's a good thing I don't book a company. So
I thought it was a rib. One of the boys phoned me up and he said, "Oh, we're starting up this Legends Championship Wrestling or something like that. And we want you to be like a centurion from the Roman army, and we're going to dress you up and put you in all this gear and yada yada yada." And he quoted me a really huge price, so I should have known to work at that point. But yeah, no, other than that, I mean, I'd be interested to see, if I went to WWE, whether they'd keep Nigel McGuinness or turn me into, Frankie
the Butler or something, right?
Yeah, Bill the Butler. Awesome.
You got a question, Barb?
I got one, actually.
Right.
Mouther, he has a rather strange question, but he asked it. This definitely is pinnacle coming out of a man from West Virginia, but who speaks better English, the Americans or the English?
Of course the English speak better. Americans don't speak English. Americans bastardized our language, much like most of our culture 200 years ago.
Well, not as bad as the Australians, I suppose.
I don't even think they speak English in West Virginia, do they?
We have a hard time with it, sir.
Right.
That snowman pissed itself.
That was something from earlier in the show. So.
Right. Speaking
That's what we call a callback.
Speaking of Colt Cabana, have you seen his Wrestling Society X gimmick?
I did, actually. I was on the internet the other day and I looked at that Matt Cassidy gimmick. I loved it, I'll be honest with you. I emailed him, actually, afterwards to congratulate him. I thought that was one of the most entertaining things I'd seen in wrestling in years. Absolutely serious, you know what I mean? Everything seems to be so cliched or, so tired and worn out. And it was a breath of fresh air. I watched the whole thing. It was thoroughly entertaining, and I hope it gets over. You know what I mean? It's fantastic. And it stands out on that show as well, doesn't it? When everybody's flipping and flopping and going through exploding. He's the perfect antithesis to that. He's absolutely fantastic. He actually got the character idea, I think, from David D'Angelo. Ask him about that.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely ask about that. Yeah, the vignette this week on Wrestling Society X was great.
Oh, he's doing that, is he? I'll have a look at that in a bit.
Yeah. Then he had a match on the internet then, too.
Right.
Yeah, one of our fans, Old School, wants to know, who is the best English wrestler? Is it you, William Regal, Big Daddy, Giant Haystacks, Dave Taylor, or Chris Adams? Gentleman Chris Adams.
Oh, you see now, best is a very difficult word.
We change it to favorite.
Huh?
You can always change it to favorite.
Well, obviously I'm my favourite wrestler, because I control whether how much money I get paid. Biggest war would have to be Big Daddy, I think. May also be worst wrestler as well. But it didn't matter, you know what I mean?
Right.
It didn't matter, boys. He seemed to do pretty well at the gates. So, I don't know. I mean, in terms of technical wrestling, I think obviously Regal would have to be up there.
Let everybody know, too, you got the King of Europe tournament coming up. Let everybody know what that is.
Yeah, it's a new idea. Alex Shane and Real Quality Wrestling, which is a new company they started, he started out of the ashes of SWA. they're putting on this big tournament. Tournaments have kind of been in vogue in wrestling ever since, the Super 8 with the ECWA, and you had the King of the Indies down there in California that Bad was originally a part of. But this is like a bigger one. I think they've got like 32 guys in. They're bringing guys from all over the world actually to be part of it. And they're, putting a lot of promotional muscle behind it, trying to get into magazines, newspapers, TV, radio. So there's a lot of stuff behind it. And I think it's going to be something different. It's going to be something special. It's going to be something that arguably wrestling fans can't see in WWE or TNA. You know what I mean? Where you have certain restrictions that are placed on you politically, and also in terms of just being on a TV show as opposed to being a live show. So I'm hoping it's going to be a huge deal, both for the people who are setting it up and the wrestlers involved. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea the areas it's running?
The what?
The areas the show's going to be running.
I think they're all in the same place. I honestly, in all fairness, I haven't looked into. I'm thinking they're all around about London, but it's there is a website for it. For the life of me, I don't know what it is. But I think if you Google Real Quality Wrestling or you Google King of Europe Wrestling Tournament, there should be a website up and running now with all the details of it. They've also got an interesting sort of gimmick going along where the first night, at least, the tournament night, all the fans get to put money into a hat and vote on who they think has had the best match of the evening, and whoever wins gets to split up the pot between all the wrestlers involved in the match.
Mm-hmm. I guess that would
just something different,
Yeah, that would be realqualitywrestling.com.
Yeah, there you go.
That was easy to Google. Andy sends in a question. He wants to know, you always look like you just woke up when you come into the ring. Is that why you're always so pissed off?
Do I really? Do I really? I guess I must have confused trying to look cool with...
with sleepy.
Yeah, sleepy smack in there. No, I mean, a lot of times in Ring of Honor, actually, the big flashlight hits you when you walk through the door, sort of, you close your eyes a little bit. No, I'm not. I do try and be a little bit, what's that word? Just restrained, what I mean? I try and be nice and cool and walk to the ring, don't want to get too excited, don't want to be a Ultimate Warrior and get blown up before,
squint a little bit.
Right, exactly. So I had no idea I looked sleepy. Fucking hell, I need to drink a few coffees beforehand, sniff some glue.
Somebody in the chat room, the Hungarian Hitman, he says that Brian Alvarez always says that you're the most improved wrestler he's ever seen. How hard was it for you to pick up the different aspects of pro wrestling?
I wouldn't say it was really difficult. No, not really. I mean, I think it's one of those things. If you take an active interest in any aspect of your life, you're going to improve in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was, probably about 3 or 4 years ago that I realised I was really shit and boring. That I started to go, all right, who's not shit and boring? And why are they not shit and boring? And I should be doing what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so part of that came from the British wrestling scene. Regal told me I had to learn the British style, and that was probably the best advice that anyone could ever have given me. We'll always be indebted to him for that. And then once I had that British style, of course, I still had to bring that up to date to Ring of Honor, etc., etc., etc. And guys like Joe helped a lot in that by seeing the style that they wrestled, which is obviously heavily influenced from Japan. So I wouldn't say it was too difficult. It's just one of those things that takes a lot of time, any kind of performing art, you have to have the opportunity to develop it. You know what I mean? It's like if you're a stand-up comedian, you just got to practice your jokes. You've got to have as many shows as you can to practice them on. So just a question of time, really. But God bless Brian Alvarez, eh? Good for him.
Check F4W.com. Or is it F4WOnline.com?
F4WOnline.
F4W.com. Figure 4. Oh, he does that gimmick.
Yeah, right.
Do you find yourself watching a lot of old videotapes? And if so, who do you find watching the most? I
go through stages. You know what I mean? I'm a bit like. I'm a bit like, like some people when they watch porn, like for a while they're into like this aspect or that aspect. A bit like that with wrestling, I mean, for a while there it was Dynamite Kid, Tiger Mask, a lot of that sort of stuff, Then it was back to, guys like Finlay, Marty Jones, Pete Roberts, back in the, from the English style. Then I'd be watching guys like Steve Austin and The Rock. I just every time I'd look at myself and when I watch myself in a match, I'd go, what am I missing? You know what I mean? And then I go, okay, this is what I'm missing. Who does it well? I'm going to watch a lot of that. Now I just watch a lot of myself. Really.
When you watch like tapes yourself, do you see like different ways you can improve your work?
No, I'm perfect.
Excellent answer.
No, I do. Of course. There's always something you can improve on.
Right.
But I am told I do have the best butt in Ring of Honor.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, better than Matt Seidel. Yeah.
What's your who do you think has the best there, Barbie?
I mean, Kenta, while he was there.
No.
That was some serious Japan ass. I like that.
It was a nice ass, but it didn't compare to my ass, to be honest.
Yours didn't quite draw me to... What?
So this will be the next weekly poll on the In Your Head board.
Get it, sort it out, because I guarantee it. And then we need to do a poll about feet, because Bryan Danielson has the ugliest feet of anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. Really? I think it's a tragedy that as much as people say he's a fantastic wrestler, don't get me wrong, he is a fantastic wrestler, he does have god-awful feet, and...
Are they like green on the bottom?
Does he have like some extra toes or anything?
They're white. They do look as though, you look at someone's feet, and you go, oh, he's got too many toes. If you count them, he's only got 5, but it looks like there should be more, you know what I mean?
On each foot or just all together?
All together, he's kind of got like aliens' feet. He's got club feet. They got like no arch to them, you know what I mean? Like a big slab of meat, like a big friggin' T-bone steak on the end of each of his ankles.
I think one of our fans was a Jobber, wanted to know if you had any good rib stories.
I always get asked this, and I always friggin' forget them all. Oh, shit. Oh yeah, great, this is fantastic. It's not really, it's pretty shit, but, for ring. But that's the trouble, isn't it, I mean, back in the day, ribs were ribs, because that was all everyone did was a wrestler, I mean, they were wrestlers 7 days a week.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, now, certainly in Ring of Honor, a lot of us are weekend warriors, I mean, not to say that we work a regular job during the week, but we still, we're not off and about all the time, we're not making millions of dollars so we can afford to wreck hotel rooms and, you know what I mean, like,
right.
All that sort of shit. But there was one time after Ring of Honor where we got snowed in. It was that weekend. I don't know if you remember, like some of the TNA guys nearly got pulled because they had the pay-per-view the next day. So we all got snowed in LaGuardia at this hotel. We had to stay there like an extra 2 or 3 days or something like that. And so we were all battling to try and get out there. And Dragon, who I think was living in Washington at the time, with a lot fewer flights going there, was having like a hell of a time getting any kind of flight. So this was a Monday or Monday night, and they were telling him he couldn't get out till like Thursday or something like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he's phoned up from the hotel phone to whatever the airline company is. He's phoned up from his regular cell phone as well, and they've got him on hold. He's been on hold for like about 2.5 hours or something like that. All right. Anyway, so he hangs up the hotel phone because they say they're going to call him back when they have more information. So Cabana gets on the hotel phone and calls back pretending to be the airline company, right? and so we're in New York and Philly's about, I don't know, 3 hours away or something like that. And so Cabana's just like fucking with Dragon, like saying, okay, we've got, it was like 12:30, and he said, okay, we've got a flight out of Philadelphia, but you've got to be there in 45 minutes. And he's going, deadly serious, and Dragon's going nuts. He's like, how can we get in 45 minutes? You know what I mean? He's going, going friggin' crazy like that. And it went on for like about half an hour. And luckily, he didn't hang up his cell phone, which was actually free to the real people. Otherwise, he'd have been fucking furious. You know what I mean? He would have chicken winged us to fucking death. But, yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed that one a lot. That was good. A lot of the ribs involve X-Flax.
Oh.
Someone got me when I was in England. What was it? Barbie. You're English, right?
I am.
Yes. You don't know what X-Flax is, do you?
I have an idea.
Yeah. It's like it's one of those things that makes you shit a lot. Anyway,
that's what it says right in the box. That's a medical term.
If you need to shit a lot, buy this. So anyway, I was over there for All Star. It was like one of my first tours, and I was still pretty green, and you know, didn't want to upset the boat or whatever. And John Tenter, Earthquake, was on the tour. And for whatever reason, one of the guys, I think it was Kid Pilchard. He's one of the local guys. They call him Kid Pilchard because he looks like a pilchard, like a sardine. He's red coloured. Anyway, for some reason he thought it would be funny to put X-Flax into my protein shake, right? So I drink it, and obviously, you know, you shit me guts out for the next like 3 or 4 hours. And anyway, the next day, that's the same frigging thing, right? But because I've got no shit in me from the day before, it just like really fucks up my guts, right? And they get bloated, and I'm, you know, just all bloated and terrible. Anyway, that night, in between shows, we end up at this hotel in the middle of nowhere, and I end up having to share the room with John Tenter, Earthquake, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's got the bed, and I've got the settee, and this X-Flax is kicking in like a motherfucker, you know what I mean? Right. I'm trying to be polite and make a nice conversation with him. He's telling me about his family and his kids and everything else like that. And then as soon as he goes to bed, I'm off in the toilet every fucking half an hour for the whole friggin' night. trying to be as quiet as I possibly can, you know what I mean? And not flush the toilet too fucking hard. So that's a good bit as well. I never got Kid Pilchard back, but I'm sure he's got it coming.
Tyler asked another question here. He wants to know, were you mad that Jimmy Jacobs got knocked out with the Tower of London, and you had to have a match with a limp body for 5 minutes?
I don't remember that happening. When did that happen?
I don't know. He emailed that to me. Tyler, if you're out there, call in.
He never did get knocked out with the Tower of London. It may have looked like he was knocked out of it.
It's just a great selling job.
He's always been a bit limp-wristed, but there he goes, I don't know.
Have you seen his music videos?
Love them. Absolutely love them. That's up there with Matt Classic in terms of the most entertaining things in the wrestling business last year. Love it. Love it. Brilliant.
Did you have any talks to wrestle for Wrestling Society X?
I did actually, yeah. I was talking to Kevin for a while about it.
Yeah.
And it all got confused because they originally were going to shoot them in October, and I was scheduled to go to Noah for a tour with them, so I said, oh, sorry, can't do it. Then, as often happens with MTV and people on the TV industry, it got pushed back to November. As soon as I found out, like a couple of months ahead, I was like, oh, hey, listen, I called him. I said, look, I'm doing nothing at all, you know, so figure me in. But he said by that time they'd already, you know, signed up everybody they wanted, and they'd done all the contracts, etc., so they couldn't, you know, figure me in. Which was kind of shitty. Well, not shitty, but it was kind of annoying, because then obviously I came back to America from Japan and had nothing to do to watch my dick get smaller, while they all went over there and earned a fortune. But I don't know, I'm hoping that it does well and there's a second series and I can get my foot in the door there, because I think I'd do well, you know what I mean? I'd stand out, I'd be a bit different for everybody else.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Matt Classic.
Mm-hmm. You've got 1PW coming up in April, I think you said it was?
April 6th. April 6th, you got the 1PW show?
Yeah. 1PW, they went through a few problems, I understand. Wise at the end of the year. 1PW has always been a company I loved working for. I mean, it's good money is one thing, but everyone's there so professional. Steve Gormley that runs it, just a fantastic fellow. You know, he's a good human being. It's difficult to find people like that in the wrestling business. You know what I mean? And he always put on a great show, and and treated us all real super good. Gave us a chance to sell merch and put on a decent sized show that I thought I always was really proud to be a part of. So I was really happy to hear things are back on the boil, and April 6th is the big day. I think there's a website probably for that as well. You should check out. I'm not sure exactly what the match is yet. I have heard rumours. There are just rumours at this point. That it will be me and Doug versus Cabana and Darren Burridge. It should be a fantastic match. So hopefully it'll come off.
No, would you believe the website is 1pwonline.com?
There you
go.
The
onlines tonight.
Yeah.
Now I'm just outside Middlesbrough, so Doncaster's just an hour away. I think I'll make my way down there. Anybody else in England wants to come, we'll all hunt down Kid Pilchard and give him a bit of a...
Good bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on this evening. Anything you want to tell your fans out there before we let you go?
No, not really. Just keep supporting wrestling, you know what I mean? Just remember how important the fans are. I don't think they realise sometimes that the difference between a good crowd and a bad crowd is everything,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I walk out there and it's dead silent and people are sitting on their hands saying entertain me. It's like pulling teeth. It's an absolute nightmare. And on the other hand, sometimes you can walk out there, people are screaming and shouting, they're having a good time, they just want to see good wrestling. And then you're home free, you know what I mean? Everyone benefits. So just enjoy yourself, enjoy wrestling, and don't take it so seriously, you know what I mean? Just have fun, that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
This is Smo Joe, and you listen to InYourHeadOnline.com.